Hey, it's great to be back with you. I'm Reverend Mark Gilbert. I am, among many roles I have, I'm the Global Services Coordinator for Centers for Spiritual Living, our home office for the organization. And it's great to be back with you. I was here back last time, I think, in the middle of December. Lots been going on since then. We obviously had Christmas and New Year's. And the last couple of times I was here, I was promoting my YouTube channel, so I'll do that very briefly. Go to markgilbert.us if you like what you're hearing here, markgilbert.us. And in the center of the page, you'll see a link to my YouTube page. And you go there and be sure and hit that subscribe button. That lets YouTube know we like what we're doing. In any case, I'm not here so much to promote that today, but just to let you know what's been happening since I've been here, is that not only all the holidays and continued making videos. I actually have taken a break from the videos for the last few weeks in my role as a Global Services Coordinator. I had the wonderful opportunity to travel to South Africa and Kenya for several weeks and spoke at our center down in Johannesburg and participated and spoke at our conference we had in Nairobi. Also helped license 4 new practitioners. We had practitioner panels in Nairobi and 4 new practitioners in Kenya. So that's just a beautiful growth of the movement of science and mind around the planet, and love to play a role in it. So it's been beautiful. Then came back and then had a brief week to help get ready, and we had our convention here. Where, as you may or may not know, CSL is part of a larger organization which has between 400 and 500 communities around the world teaching the philosophy of the science of mind. And I'm here today with the message of relationship as a mirror. Relationship as a mirror. Alice has already talked about that a couple of times, and her reading was very, very beautiful and apropos for the message that we're going to be presenting today. Now, it was interesting. We got, some of you are new or brand new. Some of you maybe have taken some classes. Some of you have been around forever. But we get so immersed in the world of form and effect out there. I think it's always nice to take a moment and reflect upon what is the essential message of our teaching. What is it we're all about here within Centers for Spiritual Living and the Science of Mind? And at the essence of our philosophy, and this is a brief elevator speech of it, we teach that everything is one, that there is a oneness that permeates all that is, that there is a divine flow, you want to call it God or Spirit or infinite intelligence or the thing itself, whatever words you wish to describe it. There's a power and presence that created this manifest universe that we're living in, and that it allowed this manifest universe to grow and evolve, and that we are part of this growth and evolution, and that God or Spirit or the infinite intelligence is in everything, that we have forgotten our source and we're on return to our source. And through this movement within the 3rd dimension of space and through our experience of the 4th dimension of time, we as spiritual beings having this human experience have a choice. We have the ability of choice in every moment to choose what we wish to experience. The divine or God gave and embedded within all of us consciousness, and that consciousness has creative power. And the creative power reflects itself in rocks and plants and animals who do it without conscious choice, but with humans we've crossed a threshold to where we're aware that we have the ability to choose our thoughts. And by choosing our thoughts, choose the life we wish to experience. So that's the great gift of our philosophy. In a quick nutshell, is that we're here to teach techniques and to remind ourselves of that truth. Because we go out there in the world and there's things that get mirrored back to us that are less than what we want. And we tend to give those mirrors our power. We tend to look at them and say, that's doing that to me. And we become a victim to the reflection of our consciousness rather than the co-creator of our lives by recognizing that we can change the reflection. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote the following. He said, "You're either attracting or repelling in accord with your mental attitudes." Repeat that. You're either attracting or repelling in accord with your mental attitudes. You're either identifying yourself with lack or with abundance, with love and friendship or with indifference. You can't keep from attracting into your experience that which corresponds to the sum total of your states of consciousness. It's like the law of reflection, he wrote. The reflection corresponds to the image held before a mirror. Your life is a mirror peopled with the forms of your own acceptance. Your life is a mirror peopled with the forms of your own acceptance. What does this mean? It means as we look out at the life out there, it's a reflection of our own thoughts. The people, and we're talking and focusing today on relationships, but you can do this for every aspect of your life, everything. But as we look out at the relationships in our life, they're a mirror of our inner state of consciousness and acceptance and what we're wanting. And we tend to have relationships in various levels. What I want to do for the next few minutes is talk about the levels of relationships in our life. You know, we can sort of see that there are people who surround us who are intimately involved with us day to day. These are our significant others. They can be our spouse, our boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, our close friends, our kids, our grandkids, our parents. We have these people that are close around us that we have relationships with very closely. But then we can sort of move outward from us, and then there are the relationships in our lives that are the people that we see, we interact with physically, but we're not with them day to day. They're the people that we work with in our jobs. They're the people that we probably interact with here at the CSL Denver. There are people that we go and to the stores and interact with. All of the common people that are around us that we interact with are another layer of relationships. But then beyond that is a relationship of the people that maybe we don't interact with physically, but we know about. These are the celebrities and the people in the news and the people in the world, in the public sphere that we hear about through all of our media and information that's presented to us. And we tend not to necessarily think we have a relationship with them, but we do. Everything in our existence, we are in relationship with it. Some more intimately than others. But every level, be it the people in our individual lives or the people that we move around with on a sort of not necessarily intimate level, but then outward to the world of the public sphere, are all reflections of our consciousness. The question then becomes, what is it about these people that they're reflecting back to us that we like? What is it that's bringing goodness and joy into our lives through the reflection of these relationships? What is it that's challenging us? What is it that we've called into our experience that's less than what we want to experience? And then there's a third level. There are those relationships that are not in our sphere that we're creating as well. This can be where we feel like we have a lack of friends, or we have no significant love interest in our life, or we're having difficulty maintaining one, and we're currently in a state of not. So the lack of a relationship is a relationship as well. You know, for my own self, I can look back and say that the greatest learnings that I've ever had in my life have come through my marriages and the intimate relationships. As I start looking at this from sort of the intimate level, and we're going to move outward through the next few minutes. I look back at my life. I was married when I turned 20. I had 5 children by the time I was 25, including a set of triplets, which is why there was so many. Yeah, you can come commiserate with me later. But the interesting thing was that because of having so many kids at a young age, life became all about the business of the family. You know, maintaining the job, the income, the house, having a stable influence for the children, et cetera, et cetera. And the marriage rocked along like that for many years. And there was a point, however, in the relationship where we recognized that we were mirroring back a state of indifference to one another. That my first wife and I had recognized that somehow or another we were taking each other for granted, that we weren't looking at the needs of the other person. And this was normal in my mind at the time. This was normal because what I came to realize through us coming to having this, we had a crisis moment where we started dialoguing about this particular issue, about what was wrong in the relationship, why it wasn't serving us. Were we called to actually end the relationship? And what we discovered through that process, and I have to say that also through the aspect of receiving external help, through counseling and through attending Science of Mind Center and the tools and techniques that were offered there, I began to question my beliefs and ask myself, what is it that is inside me that is leading to the lack in this relationship? For all those years when I looked and saw the indifference that I felt from my spouse, I saw it as her fault, that I was a victim of her not doing for me what I wanted. And it was a great eye-opening experience to understand that her actions and indifference to me were a mirror to the beliefs that I had been holding. What were those beliefs? They were things like, Well, when you're married forever. You're never going to get divorced. You're going to stay together. So taking care of the other person's needs wasn't that important because you're always going to be together. Sort of an assumption kind of thing. And raising the kids and having a stable household is more important than looking out and asking what is it that you need in this moment and making sure that your needs are met as well. These were beliefs that I held, and I could stand here now and say and realize how silly they were to hold them at that time, but they were something that had been ingrained in me from an early age, that what my role as a father and spouse meant. It meant that as the man of the household, my needs came first before my wife. This crisis, however, led me to revisiting these beliefs and recognizing that what we had individually created, my first wife and I, we had created a mirror of each other, that we both had led through expectations of the other that were not being met, and it started mirroring itself as an indifference. At that point, we made an attempt to reinvigorate our relationship, to find out what the other needed, and to try to meet the other's needs. It ended up, about 4 or 5 years later, we ended up getting divorced, but it wasn't for lack of trying, and it wasn't when we ended the relationship. It was in such an amicable way that we're still close friends to this day and feel blessed by the love that still maintains through that individual relationship. But even in the ending of the relationship, it was a learning for me. It was a learning that you can end a relationship and the relationship continues. That you're always, whether you're physically interacting with another person, you're still in relationship with that other person. You still have the memories, the thoughts, the experiences, and you continue to carry those with you, and they become a part of who you are. And you reflect that into your other relationships. So I had to let go of the relationships will last forever thing and recognize that one of the greatest levels of love is the ability to love someone even if they're no longer with you. That you can allow them to leave you from the experience of being with you in an intimate physical relationship and still carry a love for them and want the best for them. Because you can see that they are, just as you are, a spiritual being, having this material human experience, and they're wanting other experiences. And what may be the best for them is to bless them and love them as they move forward into experiencing those. And that's the greatest gift you can give somebody. But it also opened me to the space of now being a different person as I went out into the relationship marketplace and went into the world of dating and eventual remarriage. And many of you here know my wife Mary, she's a practitioner at Mile High. But we met in practitioner class and did not date until a few years after I had gotten divorced. She didn't want to get somebody on the rebound, kind of thing. But the aspect was that as we formed this relationship, and it has continued to blossom and be the best relationship that I can imagine, that she's often said, I wish I had met you earlier. I wish we had gotten together when we were much younger. And whenever she says that, I always say, I was not the person you would have wanted at that age. I had to move through the relationship and the experience and the learning and the growth to become someone who recognized that the other person's needs were important, so that I could put that center stage in our relationship. Now, that's not to paint the picture that we don't have some challenges in our relationship. I think everyone does. It still becomes an opportunity for me to heal through recognizing the things that I am having mirrored back to me in my individual relationship. So my call to you is to look at your own individual intimate relationships and where are they serving you and where are they not? And is there an opportunity for you to change your thought, to heal something that's unhealed in you and create that relationship that you really desire. But let's cascade out a little bit further. Let's cascade out. And as we do that, I also want to give you a quick reading from Dr. Edrika Richardson, who writes a lot on this topic, and she wrote that relationships are a great mirror for where your stuff comes out, especially when you don't want it to. The universe will perfectly align us with those who mirror back to us in the areas we need to heal, or they will mirror back to us in the space of self-love that we've created. In this way, our relationships are the greatest spiritual assignments that magnify what it is that's going on within us. If we can stop and see it that way. We're not a victim of them, but we're creators of them. And one of the other things I want to stress, just for a brief moment, is that these relationships are two-way streets. That my relationships are mirroring back to me my inner awareness and thoughts, but you're also a mirror back to that intimate relationship. As writer Shakti Gawan writes, the people who we are in relationships with are always a mirror, reflecting our own beliefs, and simultaneously we are mirrors, reflecting their beliefs. So just keep that in mind. But now as we cascade out, I want to go out to the area of the people who are around us. And what are those people that we're attracting into our lives? What is it that they are mirroring back to us? And this thought occurred to me this past week that there was, Reverend LZ and I were at the CSL convention which went on this week, and there were, I think, several of you who were there as well. And I was talking with a minister friend of mine from California one night, and she was talking about her community and how they had reached a level of growth where they couldn't seem to grow the community beyond that. And as she looked around at the community, what she wanted was a vibrant community that had a mixture and a diversity, not only racially, sexual orientation, age, income levels. She craved a diverse community. But as she looked out, she saw primarily old white people. And with of upper income, middle to upper income. That's not uncommon. A lot of our centers might be of that sort of demographic. But what she was trying to create, at least in her awareness, was this aspect of a diverse community with more and more people attending and more and more age levels, etc. And so she brought that to her board of trustees, and they were, thought of some world of form ideas that they could put in place to start attracting more people. And nothing's happening. Nothing's growing. And this was her concern that she was expressing to me. And as we sat there talking, we realized, or I realized, that there's a multiple levels of not only herself, but her board members and the community itself, who had in their awareness what they sought as a mirror, that they were putting out in their reflection as to what they wanted to see. And one of the common things that you see in a lot of our communities is that people become very comfortable with the people that they know, that they interact with on a routine basis, that it's the same group who shows up every Sunday and we all love each other and it's wonderful. But there's a little bit of, and I'm not saying it's going on here, you can reflect on that yourself, but it's a common thing that we get to a certain comfort level and we mirror out, that we say on the one hand that we would like to attract diversity and more people, but on our inner awareness and what we're truly believing and what we look at, what we need to heal, is that level of not wanting change and that we're satisfied with the comfort of where we are. And so what this minister and I talked about was that aspect of reflection of where their community was in terms of their beliefs and what were they mirroring back. If we truly wish to grow a community, then we have to look at what's holding us back. What are the hidden beliefs within us that say, I really like the comfort and I don't want to change? And then heal those so that we can truly become the beacon of light to assist people in their lives so they can uplift them in individual lives to the highest level of who they can be, which is what we're about. So where are we? Something to think about. But let's cascade out even further. There's a level that really is challenging us right now, and that's the public sphere. Everybody, if you laughed or chuckled, you immediately probably went to politics and polarization and the high degree of tribalism that's being exhibited by people in our individual country right now. That there is this aspect of us that looks out there and says, my God, what is going on with the world and why can't we come together, and why is it that everybody who is on the left retreats into their TV news and their own aspect of what truth is, and everybody on the right retreats into theirs, and why can't we come together and see what's common about us and focus on that more than our differences? But instead we have this world that we have in some manner played a role in creating. And the question then becomes for each of us, as we look out at this world of tribalism and divisiveness and political polarization, what's ours to heal? Because the interesting thing about looking out at life and seeing those things is what we see is actually in both sides of the polarization. We can sit here and say, oh, I'm liberal and I'm from Bernie, or I'm conservative and I'm for Trump. We can have these beliefs, and either one's fine. I just want to say that right now. I'm not getting into political debate, but both of those are in us. You can say, no, I'm over here, and that one's not in me, but it is. It is. What we're reflecting in ourselves and in our world right now is a reflection of the polarization and the divisiveness that we are feeling within ourselves. There is some aspect of us that looks out at the world and wants unity and oneness, and for everybody to treat everyone with dignity and respect and create a world that works for all, as we say here. Yet there's a part of us that is retreating into our own lives and is fearful about the other and has a degree of racism in us. And it's sometimes difficult to look at those things that require healing, but we all have them. And so as we look out at the political debate, no matter what is going on out there and which side you tend to gravitate towards, is to understand that the other side is also a reflection of some hidden belief in you calling yourself to be healed. That the community and the country is moving through a space right now of seeking a healing at the massive level. And that this experience in the outer sphere of the public world is a call for a greater level of healing, which I have no doubt will occur. I have no doubt it will occur. And it may cause a lot of pain and struggle, but it's going to cause us each to individually step up and claim some ownership on this and be a force for the healing. What does that look like? Well, that's up to you. I can't tell you what you individually need to heal, but I can say with a degree of some certainty that each and every one of us is playing a role in what we're experiencing in the public sphere. Carl Jung says, everything that irritates us about others leads to an understanding of ourselves. Let me read that again. Everything that irritates us about others leads to an understanding of ourselves. It's an understanding that only comes by looking inward and understanding what our thoughts are. What is it that we are called to heal? Edrica Richardson writes, relationships are assignments to help us grow. Many times we align with someone who challenges us by triggering our unhealed wounds, making us act from fearful patterns of communication that create separation rather than connection. This looks like fighting or withdrawing, which is based on past traumas, big or small, that we unconsciously bring into the present moment and even project into the future. Oftentimes it's not the present situation that's upsetting to us, but rather an unhealed wound rooted in the past. Unhealed. So no matter what level of relationship we're looking at, if we're looking at the close, intimate relationships around us, we're looking at those relationships that are our communities, our workplaces, our interactions with people who are in the outward sphere of our individual lives, or we're looking into the public sphere of what's going on in the greater world. Each one of those, if we feel a degree of angst or irritation or lack or less than what we want, it's an opportunity and a call for us to heal some unhealed wound within us. So how do we get at that? Here's 3 quick steps that you can, they're not quick. Quick for me to say them, long for you to do them. Okay. 3 steps. The first is a personal self-assessment. You have to stop and analyze the current status of your relationships and ask which ones do you intuitively feel, that you just know in the essence of your being and your bones, you feel this is the relationship that you feel called to work on in this point in time. It could be your significant other, it could be your community, your workplace, it could be the public sphere. But you know which one intuitively is calling you to do some sort of healing work. Identify that and then ask the questions. What is it you like about it? What is it you don't like about it? What's missing in that relationship? And from those questions, as you do this inner dialogue and this inner assessment, the step 2 that you need to get to is, what does this say about what you need to heal? What potential unhealed wound from the past may be leading you to mirroring this experience that's less than what you want? What is it in you that is called to be healed regarding our political situation, for example? Once you've identified that belief, that experience that has led you to this mirroring out, as much as you may be in denial about it and want to force it away, once you've identified that, then the step 3, and this is the tough one, make the change. Make it. Just do it. Just do it. It's easier said than done. But how do you do that? Well, depending upon the level of the wounding, the first step in everything is to set an intention. It's to recognize it and set an intention that I need to heal this about me today. If there is old wounds of fear of the other and fear of immigrants and fear of other races and people who look and act that are different from you, if there is something that you're carrying in you, look at that and say, where does it come? And I have the intention to heal that today. And then take the steps to do it. We teach affirmations here. We teach affirmative prayer. We teach visualizations. Use the techniques that you have taught, I've learned in the classes here, to employ them against those things that are the wounds that you're called to heal. Some of the wounds can be so difficult that you may need a little help. When I first had the crisis in my marriage many years ago, I was not at the place that I could have employed techniques on my own to have healed them. I sought counseling. I sought the support of practitioners at the center I was going through. I sought the assistance of classes and the ministers. And it was only through external assistance that people were able to give me the messages that finally broke through to me to allow me to recognize the old beliefs that I had held on to and to take the steps to begin healing them. So that's the 3 steps. Self-assessment, identify what you need to heal, and then just do it. Start on it. Get the help you need as part of that. I ask, if you're feeling that you need help, seek help from the community here with CSL and the wonderful practitioners who are trained in assisting in this. Finally, I've been talking about this cascade of relationships where we have these ones that are around us, the close, intimate ones, and then we have these people who are a little bit further out on the edge, and then we have the public sphere. There's another relationship I haven't talked about. And that's a relationship that permeates them all. That's the relationship that we have with the divine, with God, with Spirit, with that source of our very being. And that source, where is that? Where is that? Well, on some levels, it is the closest relationship we have because it's within us. And it's also the biggest relationship we have because it is beyond all of everything. The innermost God and the outermost God is one God. And the question then becomes, what is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with that word I just said? A lot of people have a lot of baggage from woundings in the past regarding God. Hence we like to say spirit and infinite intelligence and the thing itself, because a lot of us who come in here wounded over the word God find more comfort in those alternate terms. But ultimately, we're talking about the same thing, the source of our being, that source that gives us this power to create through our thoughts, that source that has given us the experience of this human experience of the 3rd and 4th dimensions that we move through as spiritual beings. We have a relationship with it. We are in relationship. It's like, are you divorced and having that relationship from afar? Or you think you are? Or are you intimately moving into it and recognizing there's perhaps something there you need to heal regarding the aspect of Spirit moving through you and giving you this experience? Ernest Holmes, in conclusion, wrote the following. And this is a call to action for each and every one of us. It's pointing the finger. Because, when we look at the relationships out there, there's an old adage we teach in our classes. When we point, one finger's pointing out there, but all the other fingers are pointing back at us. Because that's the true source of what's being mirrored back at us. And if we don't like the relationship that we have with the intimate folks in our lives, or anyone in our lives, or the public sphere, or our relationship with God, the direction that we need to look is inward, and to take the steps within our own change to move our relationships to where we want, to have them mirror back perfectly what we're called to experience. Holmes writes, "The creative law which you use is like a mirror. The thought you hold before it is like an image." Get that? The thought you're holding is an image, and now there's a mirror. Give it back to you. The mirror reflects the image you hold before it. Hold there then the image of faith and expectancy. With enthusiastic conviction, let me read that sentence again. The mirror reflects the image you hold before it. Hold there then the image of faith and expectancy with enthusiastic conviction and with undying trust. The only thing that can hinder you is yourself. The only thing that can help you is yourself, because it's you who reflects the image into the mirror. Let's pray. And as we move into that place within our awareness, we are moving into a place where we recognize that the divine, the one, the God, moves through us and gives us this very existence. That aspect of our awareness that we feel in the sense of our individual consciousness is that place where we know God is available to us every day through intuition and through the creation of our thoughts. As we move into that place in our awareness right now, we know that those thoughts that we hold within our own minds, our own individual expressions of the one mind, are an image that we are putting out and are mirrored back to us, reflected back to us. We know that at a greater essence of our being today, that we have been reminded of this in such a way that as we leave here today, we do so with a sense of recognizing that every relationship in our life, be it our significant others, our friends, our family, our co-workers, our relationships in the public sphere of politicians and the world of celebrities and those who are known, and our relationship with God, is moving to the place of allowing us to heal that which within us needs healing, and allowing us to reflect outward the greatest and highest possibilities for our individual life. That we are attracting love. A love from others, but a love from ourselves. We allow our love to be a love that begins with a love of ourself and this very nature of who we are. The love of Spirit as it moves in and through us. And that love that bubbles up within us, that feeling of love, transcends our physical form and moves outward in our awareness to encompass everyone around us. And as that love flows outward from us into our significant others, our spouses, our girlfriends, boyfriends, as it moves outward to our family, our friends, our co-workers, as it moves outward to everyone in the political and public sphere, we recognize that our love unites us, that we are all one, that everyone here on this planet, in this universe, is of this same source. And as we get it, as we really get that at some deep, deep level within us, we cannot help but heal. We cannot help but heal. The power of love is driving us to reunite us with all that is. Our source is calling us home. Thank you, God. Thank you. And we release these words knowing that they are so. And so it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a similar video right here next to my face if you want to click on it. Also, if you want to get notifications of future videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the bottom left-hand corner. If you'd like to contact me, email me at the address on the screen or drop me a comment in the comment field below on YouTube. Thanks.